Do not make these mistakes. You will end up broke or in debt. In this video, I'm gonna go over the top 5 beginner credit card mistakes that you should avoid at all costs. Make sure you watch until the end because the last one is truly detrimental and I do not want any of you doing this. Let's get right into it. Mistake number 1 is that you're carrying around a credit card balance from month to month. This means that you're not paying off your credit card bill in full every month. So why is this a bad thing? 1, because of interest charges. When you're carrying around an unpaid balance on your card, your credit card issuer is going to charge you interest on that outstanding balance. Now, I was mind blown when I learned this, but over 50% of Americans are paying $1,000 a month on credit card interest. Why? $1,000 is a lot, you guys. It just feels like such a waste of money. But in short, these interest charges can really rack up over time if you keep doing this every month, and you will be wasting your money. And number 2, this is basically debt accumulation. By carrying around a balance every month, you're basically accumulating and piling on all this debt. And if this keeps happening every month, your debt is just going to keep increasing and increasing and increasing. And that's how you end up in this vicious cycle of debt. And in the future, this is really gonna pile on and it's gonna become a huge amount. So it's gonna be even harder to pay it off. As I said, if you're paying $1,000 in interest charges every single month and you keep having to do this, over 12 months, that's $12,000. For a lot of people, that's a lot of money and that's gonna get really hard to pay off. Moral of the story, the more debt you have, the harder it's going to be to manage your finances and reach your financial goals. Also, number 3, it's going to negatively impact your credit score. Your credit score is an important factor that lenders consider when evaluating your credit worthiness. Credit utilization ratio is a ratio that measures the amount of available credit that you're using, and it's a key component of your credit score. When you carry around a high balance, it increases your credit utilization ratio, potentially lowering your credit score and making it harder to access credit in the future. For example, if you want to buy a house or you want to buy a car. Mistake number 2. Now, mistake number 1 and mistake number 2 really go hand in hand, and that is mistake number 2, you're only making the minimum credit card payment that's required every month. And again, this means that you're basically just carrying around a balance month to month and you're accumulating more and more debt. And you don't want this huge, gigantic, burdensome accumulation. Always just pay your credit card in full, pay the full amount, and if you find that you are unable to pay the full amount, then that means that you really need to look at your finances as a whole and start budgeting, because you should not be spending more than within your means. Which leads me to mistake number 3, which is to go ahead and hit that red subscribe button if you're getting any value from this video at all, and it would really mean a lot to me. Mistake number 3 is buying what you can't afford. Just because your credit card limit is $25,000 a month does not mean you should be spending anywhere near that amount of money. Unless you have $25K plus sitting in your bank account and you can comfortably spend it and pay it off. But if you're making like $4,000 a month, you don't have a savings, then you should not be spending that much. Spend within your means. Otherwise, this is a perfect recipe for you to go into debt, and then you're gonna really have to try to climb your way out of that, just like we talked about. Not to mention, spending a lot of money or too much money on your credit card per cycle can really hurt your credit card score, as I mentioned earlier with the credit utilization ratio. So just keep that in mind. Credit card mistake number 4 is that you are missing a payment or not making your payment on time. This is bad. 1, because now you're gonna incur a late payment fee, which is often around $25 to $40 or even more. And these fees are just gonna keep adding to your debt accumulation. And it's also gonna increase the cost of borrowing money for you in the future. Because now too, your credit card issuer is probably going to increase your interest rate even more because they see you as untrustworthy. And remember, these issuers are a business. They are trying to make money off of you, and they know this is how they can get you. So if you have a history of missing your payments or making late payments consistently, they are very likely to increase their interest rate for you, and then you'll end up paying even more money a month. So now you're dealing with a late payment fee and increased interest charges. As I said, you're seeing how these companies are making money. To think that over 50% of Americans are doing this is crazy, because that's so much money. It's so much accumulated debt, but you're not gonna let these companies profit because you're watching this video and you know better now. Also 3, if you keep missing these payments or paying late, these credit card issuers are allowed to take legal action, and they most likely will. Or they will start sending over a collections agency to your door to recover the debt that you owe. So don't even get yourself into this mess. Avoid it at all costs. Mistake number 5 is taking out a cash advance. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is taking out a cash advance on your credit card. Now, this is really detrimental for two reasons. Number one, cash advances typically have a much higher interest rate than just your typical interest rate on your credit card that you're paying, meaning you pay even more money to the bank. And number two, it is never ever a good idea to use money or cash that you don't actually have. As I said, spend within your means. If you're taking out a cash advance, this probably means that you don't actually have or own liquid cash in your pockets or in your accounts. And again, you're paying outside of your means, and you're gonna have a really hard time playing catch up later on, trying to pay down all this debt. You're basically setting yourself up for failure, and we don't want to do that. Now, a really crucial way that you can avoid getting into debt is to know how to manage and budget your money. And if you don't know how to manage your money, then don't feel bad. Most people don't. Unfortunately, this is not something that's taught in schools. It's okay. Better late than never, and you can start today. It's really important that you learn these things so that you don't get into this cycle of debt. And that's exactly what I go over in this video here, so I highly suggest that you check that out next. I'll catch you in the next video.